How well do you know English present tenses? Perhaps you know the simple rules, but maybe you think you might know everything. Well, you might know everything if you know the 12 present tense uses I'm going to share in this video. And there's a free grammar guide that goes with this lesson. It's all in the description below. Number 12 is here and come. Do we use here and come with the present simple or the present continuous? We use it with the present simple, and here's an example. Here comes the bus. We use here comes when we're talking about an object or transport moving towards us. Here comes the bus. In a similar way, we can also say there goes. There goes the train. We use there goes when an object or transport is moving past us or moving away from us. 11 is current behaviour. Do we use the present simple or the present continuous for current behaviour? We use the present continuous. For instance, if someone is being rude to you and they say, I think you smell, the answer is likely to be this: you are being rude. Notice that we use the verb to be in its continuous sense, and this is one of the few reasons we will do this. You are being rude, and this describes the behaviour happening in that moment. You can use the present simple, but that's only for usual behaviour. If you say you are rude, this means this is what you're like all the time, not just at the moment. 10 is this is what I know. Do we use the present simple or the present continuous when we're talking about this is what I know? We use the present simple. And here is an example. I know that you live in a village. This is what I know. But it could be to do with a situation that you've heard about relating to the past. For example, I understand that you have lived in the city. Here we're talking about a past situation, but it's our knowledge of that past situation. And in both of these cases, we'll use the present simple to say, this is what I know. 9 is show annoyance at bad habits. Do we use the present simple or present continuous here? Well, here it's actually both. We could say this: he is always leaving the lights on. And this is something that the person does repeatedly. It's a bad habit. You wish that he turned the light off every time. But this happens over and over and over again. And you feel annoyed. The word always indicates annoyance in this example. So this is with the present continuous, but you could also have used the present simple. She constantly talks over the movies. Do you know someone like this? You're trying to watch a movie, but the person you're sitting next to keeps saying things while the movie's going on. And here we've used the present simple. She constantly talks over the movies. 8 is in this state at a moment in time. Now, which tense shall we choose here? This is a slightly different construction. We use the present simple, but we use it with the participle form of the verb to be. Let me walk you through some examples. First of all, I love being correct. Now, what do I mean here? Well, correct is the state that I have at a moment in time. We're not always correct, are we? But sometimes we are. And in that moment, you are being correct. So we've used the present simple, I love, but we use to be in its participle form, present participle, being. I love being correct. Correct That's the state that I'm describing at a moment in time, and I love it. But we could have also used being and the present simple in another way, such as here. You being there is so important to me. Let's unpack that. So it's the present simple is, but being introduces there. There, a position, a location, is the state that I'm in at a moment in time. It is so important to me that you are in this location at this moment in time. But we can summarize all of that by saying you being there is so important to me. However, there are some complications here. Firstly, the form of be is determined by the verb before. So with I love being correct, the verb love can be followed by the ing form of the next verb. I love being correct, or I enjoy being correct would be similar because enjoy is followed by a verb with ing. But with other verbs such as intend, we follow those with to plus infinitive. So I intend to be correct. Secondly, you can use the continuous form in certain situations. For example, when being has a consequence where it causes another activity. For example, you being there is leading to great interest. So you being there is the cause for an activity, and we can use the continuous form to describe that activity. 7 is formal announcement of a plan. Is this present simple or present continuous? This one is present simple. Have a look at the example here. We are to get married in the summer. And here we use a structure is to or are to. And this is used when we are announcing plans formally or officially. When we announce plans for a wedding, it's often done in a formal, official way. So the structure is to or are to makes sense here. It's appropriate because that's what we do when we make announcements that are formal and official. Now, we could have used going to. We are going to get married, but this would be less formal and less official. It's something you're likely to say to someone, not write on an invitation to the actual wedding. Now, if you're enjoying this video, you might also enjoy my Perfect English Grammar course, which is 40 hours long, and it has 14 different lessons just on present tenses, along with 600 different videos of English grammar teaching from me. A link to the course is in the description below. Point 6 is doing things in a certain way. But when you usually do things in a certain way, is this present simple or present continuous? It's present simple. Here's an example. I wash my hands with soap. Now notice there's no extra information telling you how often or anything else, but we just have the statement on its own. I wash my hands with soap. And when we have this present simple statement on its own, then we understand this to mean this is what I usually do for this particular circumstance. I usually wash my hands with soap. I didn't have to say usually because the present simple does that for me. The present simple on its own means usually if I'm simply listing something that I do in a certain way. Now, if I use the present continuous, then that means I'm doing it in this way just at the present time. For example, I am washing my hands with shower gel today. 5 is temporary circumstances. Is this present simple or present continuous? This one is present continuous. For instance, I am living with my parents until I find my own home. It's a temporary circumstance. It's where I live now, but I don't plan to be there very long. So I use the present continuous to show that it's temporary. If I use the present simple, I'm indicating that my circumstances are permanent. For example, I live with my parents. I'm not looking for another home. 4 is present experiences. Simple or continuous. This is also present continuous. For instance, we are having a fantastic time at this event. This means that's the experience now. The present continuous shows that it's an experience happening now. We are having. Normally, have is a state verb. We don't normally use it in the active form. But for present experiences, we can use it in the active present continuous form. Now, if you use the present simple, this means that you are describing experiences which are typical. For example, we always have a great time when we come here. So these are experiences that happen regularly or always in the same way. So we use the present simple for those, but if we're just focusing on the present moment, present continuous. 3 is impersonation. Impersonation goes with both. But let me show you some examples so you know what I mean. Have you ever been to a circus? Or do you know someone who's worked at a circus? You'll often see people working, taking on different roles. They'll perform in one way on one day, perhaps as a dancer, earlier in the performance, but then later they might change into a clown. Today I am a clown. So the present simple reflects the role that they're taking. But we don't just have to use the present simple. We can also here use this present continuous form with the verb to be in its continuous sense. Today I am being a lion tamer. 2 is this is what I think happened. Now, do we do this with the present simple or present continuous? Here it's the simple form. But again, an example will help you to understand what I mean. Have you ever seen someone come in your house looking like the boy or the girl below? The boy's got rain coming all over him. The girl's clothes are so wet she has to wring them out. She has to squeeze them to get the water out. What do you think happened? This is what you could say. I expect that you have been walking in the rain. Notice I expect introduces the rest of the sentence. The rest of the sentence is to do with the past. You have been walking in the rain. That happened before. But I expect is in the present simple. And what that means is, this is what I think happened. And number 1 is possession. Present simple or present continuous. Again, this could be both, depending upon what type of possession we are explaining. Now, most of the time, when we talk about possession, we mean permanent possession. And so for this, you'd use the present simple. For example, I own a car. When you say I own a car, it's something in my possession and I'm going to keep it. It's something that's going to stay in my possession. Now, sometimes you can use the present continuous for temporary possession, such as this. I am keeping these keys while my friend is on holiday. But be careful here. You can't do this with all verbs. For example, I am owning, I am having won't work. If the verb is usually a state verb, then it cannot take the continuous, even for temporary possession. So how did you do with those 12 uses of the present simple or present continuous, or both? If you knew all of them, that is a sign that you probably know most, or maybe even all, of the uses of the present tense in English. You are a true grammar master.